and we're going to dive into Breath Camp version 4, Yoga Sutras of Patanjali. And this is book 2, the Sadhana Pada. Sadhana Pada, that means the path or foot, Pada, of the sadhana. And so in the Yoga Sutras, there's 4 books. Each book has a different kind of topic. And again, this is being recorded. So if you want to take notes, it's fine, but you can also, I'll send out the repeat. But why this is so cool, and how this relates to breathwork and breath camp is it gives you practical steps to do whatever the hell you need to do to feel better. It's so simple and it's so practical. So they're like, look, I'm talking about the yogis. They say, your mind is going to create a whole bunch of trouble in your life. It's just the nature of the mind. It's going to create all sorts of situations and perceptions. This is the key. It's going to create all sorts of perceptions of how the world is and how the world needs to be and how you need to be in the world. It'll say, oh, you're not practicing enough, or oh, you're not eating the right food, or oh, you're not hanging out with the right people, or oh, you need to find better people to hang out with. Your mind is going to create all of this. And whether or not it's true is totally irrelevant. What my main message here is, and what the yogis say, is that it's mind created. It's created from the mind, good or bad. But if you understand that the mind is the one that's originating these stories, and that the mind is influenced by different levels of the mind, which we'll get into in a moment with like the subconscious mind and how this relates to yoga and breath work. They're saying this is the tool for understanding not only what the mind is doing, but how to correct these patterns, these conditions. And so before I get into what this is saying and in the teaching for today, I'm answering a question that came up a few times, and people had asked me, what is the breath work that you teach? What breath work are we going to do today? And this, you might be curious about that. What are we going to do today? What sort of breath work are we going to do? It's Kriya Yoga. It's Kriya Yoga. You might have heard of Kriya Yoga. And Kriya Yoga was introduced to me by my teacher, Steve Harrison of the Sanctuary, who's also where Elliot's teaching in England. And Steve is not the inventor of Kriya Yoga, but he did create a beautiful system of methods called the Living Yoga Method that you can dive into if you want. He's also offering online sessions, which are amazing chance to do more of this. But the breath work, the specific breath work component is Kriya Yoga. And so just to give you a high level overview, what is Kriya Yoga? 2,500 years ago, we have a definition. It says, Tapas Svadhyaya Ishvara Pranidhana Kriya Yoga. Okay? And I'm reading it backwards in Sanskrit. That's how masterful I am. No, just kidding. I just memorized the sutra. I've done it so many times. So it's Yoga 2.1. You can look it up. It says, yoga in action is composed of austerity, self-study, and trustful surrender to Ishvara. So let me unpack that one for you. And how does this relate to us? This is so, sometimes when you're studying this stuff, it starts to take you far away from the point. And you might be thinking, what the fuck is the point? Like, where's Grant going with all this stuff? All right, let's bring it back home. Let's just go really simple. Kriya. Kriya. The word Kriya comes from the same root as the word karma, which you may have heard, and create. So our English word, create, it has that same root, which is Kri, K-R-I, Kri. And K-R-I, Kri, means to act or to do. Okay, and why this is so important and how this relates to us in our breath work today is Kriya Yoga is the yoga that is of action. So it requires you to do something. And what it's designed to do is to unprogram the subconscious mind. It's designed to free up the karma, whatever your karma is, so that you can move forward in a positive direction in your life. And what I find so fascinating about this, and what I love so much about this, is a Kriya is not specific to a breathwork practice, but a breathwork practice can help you free up energy in your system so that you become aware of evolutionary actions in your life, actions that are aligned with your life force to get you to where you want to go. And everybody already knows this and is already doing this intuitively. But the problem is when we start to repeat things that we don't want to repeat, and we can't figure out what to do about that. So I'll pause there and just raise your hand if you know what I'm talking about. You're repeating something that you don't want to repeat and you don't know what to do about it. And you're like, I want to stop and change that behavior, right? And you're just like, fuck, I can't do anything. I feel stuck, I feel stuck. And when you feel stuck, the best thing to do is just put that aside. Okay, that is a character trait that I am carrying that isn't your fault. It's not your fault. It's due to karma, which is the law of cause and effect. And so because you did something in the past, say I drank coffee every day for 20 years, it's going to be really hard to quit coffee because I've done so much of it. And so karma is just repeating. And what you want to do if you want to stop repeating is you do the opposite. You do the evolutionary action, which is a Kriya. Okay. And so I'll just pause there and just really high level. Is everything making sense so far? Like Kriya Yoga is the yoga of action that is designed to liberate you from your karma. That's as simple as I can make it. And that's what the Yoga Sutra 2.1 is stating. Okay. So that's the teaching to share today, because it's really simple. It's really profound. I'll repeat it a lot because it's worth hearing again and again and again, because as we understand what we're really trying to do, as much as we can think positive thoughts and we can imagine the future. And last night was a new moon. You may have done a new moon ritual and been like, I'm going to release the past and I'm going to call in like abundance and like do all this stuff. Until you actually do the stuff to change what's happening in your physiology, in your biological system, which is your subconscious mind, you're bound to repeat because the lesson needs to be learned. That's the idea. And so it's like, okay, we get it. I'm beating a dead horse. We've learned the lesson. I've heard this so many times. So now what do? We do something about it. We do our Kriya Yoga. Who's up for it? You guys up to do some Kriya? Yeah. Okay, so really simple. Really simple. There's going to be we have enough time. We're going to do 3 different techniques today. Okay. And if you're new to this, don't worry, I'll explain it. If you're not new to this, just hang on to your seat. Double breathing Kriya, first technique. Okay. Double breathing Kriya is the first technique. What this is designed to do is to get energy to just move. Okay. Because when you feel stuck, your energy is stuck in a fixed pattern. This is called a personality. This is the matrix of who you are. Okay. And what the double breathing Kriya does is it loosens up the matrix. And so you're a little more malleable, and you want to become more malleable because in the second technique, I call it, what was I calling it? We're going to call it spinal target practice. Spinal target practice. And so we're going to use, and I'll explain more in depth as we go, but I want to give you guys the high level first. So first technique, double breathing Kriya. Second technique, spinal target practice. We've loosened up the energy. We have more Shakti to deal with. Now we need to target the spine in a certain way, because the spine is where the karma gets stored. And how does that work? The brain projects down into your body, out into the world. And that's how you make an action. Okay. and the world comes into your body and goes up your spine, up your autonomic nervous system to your brain. And so this is the flow of information between you and life, right? And what happens when the information comes in and it doesn't go all the way up to the higher centers of the brain? You react. You react. If the energy doesn't come all the way in through the spine without a reaction, that's the key, then guess what? You repeat the past. Does that make sense? Super simple, but it's the physiology of what's happening in this exchange between you and life. And so the goal is to get that energy to move, so you stop repeating the past. And after we loosen up the energy, we get the energy moving. Now we target the spine, spinal target practice. And you may have heard what the chakras are. Kriya Yoga deals a lot with the chakras. We'll just call them spinal centers. You have the root, you have the sacrum, you have the solar plexus, you have the heart, you have the throat, and you have the brain. There's 6 of them in this system. So we'll target each center. That way we can clean out that flow. We can, if there's a flow and there's a river and the river's dammed, we want to clean the flow out. That's what we're doing in the second technique. And then the third technique, we're going to organize it, and we're going to create what's called heart rate variability, or resonance between your brain and your heart. And this is really just the regulation of the nervous system. Okay. So after we've loosened everything up, then we target the spine, and then we organize it and create a nice flow of breath. And if you're familiar with spinal breathing, you can use the spinal breathing technique on this third process. And this will put us right into a nice meditative space, a nice healing space where you can reprogram, you can clear all of these really beautiful benefits of breath work start to become really apparent. So 3 techniques. I think I covered it. Any questions so far? You guys game on? You ready to breathe? All right, we got about 20 minutes of breathing, okay? Let's see here. I am. All right. All right, yogis, make yourself comfortable. The spine is straight. And start to just imagine you're leaning into your spine, okay? You're leaning into your spine, and your spine is holding your body nice and erect. You're leaning into your spine, and start to breathe into the space behind you. Try to breathe into the space behind you. Excellent. And so those of you who are new, don't worry, you'll get the hang of it. Just roll with it. The goal is just to move the Shakti. Those of you who are familiar, you know what to do. So it's 2 inhales sharply through the nose, 2 exhales sharply through the mouth. All start, and all you need to do is join in. Set and begin. Good. Keep going. Through the nose, out the mouth. Keep going. Now see if you can feel this breath happening only in your belly. So as you're breathing, your belly inflates and then it contracts. It inflates and then it contracts like a balloon. Double breath in the belly. Good. Now make the breath longer and deeper. Good. Keep going with the longer, deeper breaths. Still double breathing. Twice through the nose, twice through the mouth. It goes from your belly up to your chest, and then you release. From the belly to the chest, and release. Good. Now we're going to move into our last 10. Keep going. Now the last 10 are all in the chest. Can you make the breath happen only in the chest? Try to get it all the way up into your brain. Inhale, inhale. Exhale, exhale. Breath travels past the heart into the brain. You might be feeling tingly. Really moving Shakti. Clearing the stuck energy. 3 more times. Stay with it. Once more. And exhale completely. All the way out. Completely empty your lungs. All right, now inhale slowly through your nose. Full body breath. Imagine you're breathing through your entire skin. Hold the breath in. Feel the expansion of the breath hold. This is called a kumbhaka. Send the energy through your entire body. And when you're ready to release the breath, do so slowly through the mouth, but keep the energy in your body. So keep this sense of being aware of your entire body. Getting to the bottom of the out breath, hold the breath out. Notice that you don't need to breathe. And submit yourself to be in this space for as long as you can comfortably. We'll hold for another 60 seconds. Eyes are closed. Dropping into a feeling sense. Letting go of thinking. Arriving into a space of pure awareness. You've done your Kriya. You've freed up the mind. Allowing yourself to just be permeable, to be open. Floating inside your heart. And then in a moment, we're going to take a recovery breath. Do so nice and slow through your nose. 3, 2, 1. Breathe in slowly. Inhale. Again, hold this breath in. Recovery breath is held for 12 seconds. Feel the energy swirling. See if you can expand it into your fingers, into your toes, into your heart, into your brain for 3, 2, 1. Exhale slowly. Keeping the eyes closed. And just notice the change from one Kriya. Took us 3 minutes to do that. One Kriya, just to shift our energy, to change the chemistry in our body, change the brain waves, regulate the nervous system. And so now with all this Shakti that you've created, this new fresh energy, now we want to organize it and send it like lasers, target practice, into the spine. So just bring your attention down to the root of your spine before we begin the second technique. Just want to have your attention on the root of your spine. And with your mind, your focus and your awareness is on the root. The Bija Mantra, in case you're familiar, is Lam. You don't need to remember that. but it's the sound of this chakra. The sound of this spinal center is Lam. And then move your attention up to the second center, which is Ram, Vam. Second center is Vam with a V. And then moving your attention up to your solar plexus, which is Ram, R-A-M. And then up to your heart, Yum. All you're doing is bringing your mind and attention to the heart center. Up to your throat, which is Hum, H-A-M. And then finally, your third eye, your command center, Agya chakra, Om. Om. Excellent. Now we're going to travel back down. I'm going to say the Bija Mantras. As I travel down and I say them, bring your attention to that point. Om. Hum. Yum. Rum. Vam. Lum. Clearing out the limbic brain. And so now we combine that with Kapalabhati, the breath of fire. A sharp exhale through the nose. The inhale takes care of itself. With each exhale, you target the spinal center as if you're throwing a dart at a dartboard. Okay, it'll make sense in a moment. We'll do 3 rounds so you can really get the hang of this one. So we start at the root, we'll go slow and we'll travel up the spine and then we'll travel back down and we'll do that twice for 1 round. Again, it'll make sense in a moment. Sharp exhale, inhale takes care of itself. Bring your attention to your root and begin. Back down, Om, Hum, Yum, Rum, Vam, Lum. 1 more. Hum, Yum, Rum, Vam, Lum. Full exhale all the way down. Trace the exhale down your spine to your root. Now inhale slowly up the spine, trace the spinal centers up. Hold the breath in at the top. Feel the flow of energy traveling up your spine into your brain. If you want, you can apply the bandhas and the mudras that help facilitate this flow of energy. Lifting, lifting, lifting into the sky. And exhale slowly. Excellent. Just pay attention now to your spine. Feel this column that sits between your butt and your crown. Lean into your spine. Feel the spinal centers in one line. Preparing for the second round, spinal target practice, using Kapalabhati to pierce the centers of the spine. 24 breaths, up and down twice. Prepare yourself and begin. Lum, Bum, Rum, Yum, Hum, Om, Om, Hum, Yum, Rum, Bum, and exhale completely. Trace the breath down into the root. From the root, inhale into the brain. Hold the breath in. Once you get there, lifting the energy up. You might feel your pelvic floor lift. You might feel your belly lengthen. You might feel expansion in your heart. You might feel a lengthening through your neck and your throat. Your tongue might press your upper palate. Your eyes might focus upward into your brain for 3, 2, 1, and release the breath. Rest for a moment, take a few easy breaths. Notice what's happening in your body. So not only are you targeting major energetic centers, but these are nerve plexuses and also places where your endocrine glands reside. Your endocrine glands are how your body and your brain communicate chemically. Okay? Your endocrine organs release chemicals, your nervous system releases electrical impulses. One is matter, one is energetic. You're doing both simultaneously. So we'll do one more round. Really emphasize the sharpness and the precision of the dart. Try to hit the bullseye. Okay? Bring your attention down to the root of your spine. Last round, and begin. Om, hum, yum, rum, vum, lum. One more. Lum, vum, rum, yum, hum, om, hum, yum, rum, vum, lum. Exhale completely. Breath travels down the spine to the root. Trace the path of the breath up the spine. Inhale slowly. Allow the breath to be held gently into the brain. Let the brain soften and expand. For 3, 2, 1. Exhale slowly. Leaning into your spine. All right. So now that we've loosened up the energy in the body, now that we've cleared the channel, the central channel, now let's organize the breath and then create a flow in that central channel. So all you need to do is breathe with the wood block timer. This will be a 6-second timer. When you hear the wood block, change your breath from an inhale to an exhale. Very simple. So we'll start. Please exhale completely. Now inhale for 6 seconds. When you get to the top of the inhale, exhale. Very, 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 very simple. Inhale. Exhale. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. All right. Now I'm going to have you continue breathing with this wood block, inhaling. But what I'm going to now do is give some additional instructions. So just when you hear the wood block, change your breath. Try to be as precise as possible. Now become aware of the column that sits between the base of your spine and the crown of your head. Your spinal centers, your chakras, exist on that imaginary line. So as you inhale, you're traveling up each of the spinal centers, going up into the brain. And as you exhale, you're traveling down from the brain, past the throat, the heart, the belly, into the base. base, sacrum, belly, heart, throat, brain, brain, throat, heart, belly, sacrum, root. Can you do that on your own? Follow with the breath up the spine. Follow with the breath down the spine. That's very good. Continue. And just think maximum focus. Try to really focus. Make the breath as smooth and undisturbed as possible. If you're familiar with the Bija Mantras, you can produce the Bija Mantra sound internally. Lam, vam, ram, yum, hum, om, om, hum, yum, ram, vam, lam. Continue. See if you can relax into the technique. This is key. Relax into the technique. Stay focused, but stay energized. You take all the energy that you worked for and you organize it in your spine. This is how you reclaim your power from the world. Your nervous system is like a field. And your field is often plugged in to certain parts of the world, giving energy to certain parts of the world that it doesn't need to give energy to anymore. And to reclaim our sovereignty, to reclaim our power as human beings, all we need to do is to bring our attention, our energy, and our breath back to our center, back to our midline. It's a very simple process, but also very profound as we continue to practice and understand what's happening. You're creating a closed loop for your energy. And the more you bring your mind to engage with the technique, the more you train your mind to be here. Every time your mind tries to wander, it tries to get outside of the breath, outside of the technique, you bring it back. Every time you bring it back, that is a win against the forces that are trying to distract you. You are in control, you are the master, and you are developing mastery over the life force. Even your body, even your mind, they're trying to distract you. Stay with the technique for one more minute. Really try to focus here. Think maximum focus. Maximum focus. And let's just do 2 more rounds of breath. Last round of breath. All right, now all you're going to do is relax into the natural breathing pattern of your body. The wood block is turned off. Now breathe in a way that makes you feel connected to yourself. Breathe in a way that makes you feel connected to yourself. Like you're breathing straight into your heart, and your heart is getting brighter with every breath. You're breathing straight into your heart, and your heart is getting brighter. And from your heart, like your heart itself, the heart itself is going to be vibrating the sound of Om. 3 times. Inhale into the heart. From the heart. Two more times. Make it feel so good. Last time. Just bring your palms to prayer at your heart when you're ready. And complete your practice by bowing to yourself. Acknowledge what you've done, your work, your attention. Acknowledge all those who've done this work with you, the Sangha. And of course, acknowledge the practice, the techniques that help us liberate energy so that we can become more free human beings. Thank you all so much for joining me for Breath Camp. Namaste. All right, my friends. Thanks for doing the work. It's, you know, some of the practices that we do, especially if they're new, they feel clunky, right? Did anyone feel a little clunky with some of the stuff we did today? It's like you're getting a new car, you know, and you're trying to understand what's happening under the hood. And I don't know about you, but I've driven cars and I didn't know what a radiator was until I had to get mine fixed, you know? And that's sort of how it is in life. Like we go through life and we don't know that there's something wrong with us until we need to fix something. And then it's like something's breaking down and you're like, shit, I need to take it to the mechanic. Well, who's the mechanic? You are. You're the mechanic. You have all the tools that you need to make your life a better place to live and also to help the people around you. And so the beautiful thing about yoga is it gives us practical steps to understand what's happening under the hood. And so what I share in the breath camp are just my own personal interpretations, my own personal theories from years and many hours of doing this work. And some of these techniques I've done so many thousands of times. And still I'm discovering new things about like double breathing, for example, or the targeting the spinal centers. And so if it feels clunky, don't worry. You can still drive your car. It'll still get you from point A to point B. It'll still be effective. But what my wish is, and why I share some of the things that I share, is that having a little more understanding about, oh, I'm clearing out the limbic brain, or I'm helping my subconscious mind start to clear out some of the karma. Having an understanding of that gives us a little more inspiration to do this work. Because I know for me, if I'm introduced to a new practice, it takes some time to actually get momentum into where I'm doing it regularly and consistently. And so, that's just the last thing I'll share is just keep coming to these sessions. If it's clunky, keep practicing on your own. If there was one technique that worked well for you today, start doing it. Like, start to incorporate it into your daily life. That way, you'll get more out of these sessions because it'll make more sense what's happening. So yeah, that's all I'll kind of finish with saying. Does anyone, we went a little bit over, we started a few minutes late, and I understand if you have to get going, then please, by all means, thank you so much for being here, but I'm happy to stay and answer questions for the next 5 or so minutes. And yeah, Lissy, go for it.
Thank you. I want to make it simple. I want to bring this to you because I know that I'm bringing another perspective. In my case, for example, because of trauma in my childhood and whatever, my nervous system is just extremely sensitive. So, in my particular case, I love the double breathing Kriya, but if I do the 3 rounds, it makes me feel disassociated, in a state of disassociation. So, I maybe you cannot answer today, but I do want to bring this to your attention because this is what I'm trying to work on. I know I need to help my nervous system to clear out, but I know that I need to start extremely gentle with it because it's a process of getting comfortable in your body, feeling safe, and all that it entails. You know what I'm talking about, because I know that you've been reading about nervous system and trauma. And so is there something that you might know that can help me, maybe in those 3 techniques that we saw today? I think the one that I feel the most comfortable with is the 6-second inhale and exhale. Maybe I should start there. Do you have any extra insight? If you do, and if not, it's good too. You can say it later.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Really beautiful question, and thank you for bringing that up. I want to start by saying that as far as I understand how yoga works is, so yoga, they talked about karma, but what we talk about today is trauma. The two are the same, because what trauma does is it causes to repeat the past so that we can heal. And that's what karma does. Karma causes us to repeat the past so that we can heal. And so they're just different names for the same thing. And what trauma is and what karma is, I'll just say, we'll use trauma because we're talking about that. We'll use that word. Is it freezes life. It freezes it locks the energy of life into a frozen structure, and it makes it inaccessible. See you, Sean. And as soon as we start to approach that trauma, the body wants to disassociate, because that's what it did to protect us when the overwhelm happened, right? Trauma is what happens. It's not what happens to us. It's what happens inside of us. And what happens inside of us is we're overwhelmed by a situation that happened. It doesn't need to be a car accident or something crazy. I mean, it can be, and oftentimes this stuff, it stays with us. And so when we're overwhelmed, and double breathing Kriya is a great example of something that can overwhelm us because it brings a lot of energy into the system. And so that kind of addresses that thing. And in the solution there on that topic is be really gentle. That's it. Just be really gentle and be gentle, but still approach the technique with curiosity. So here's the thing that I've seen is, if there's trauma present and we try something, any sort of spiritual practice, whether it be double breathing or any other healing modality, if that modality starts to trigger the trauma, then we're afraid of that modality now. And that can be a teacher, that can be a teaching, that can be a spiritual system, that can be anything that brings back the memory. We are all of a sudden afraid that it's gonna, right? It's just, so, and same thing with karma. So like, as we start to approach a breakthrough in life, there's all sorts of turbulence. Like, we start to self-sabotage. If things get really good, we start to self-sabotage because we're about to let go of something. And that part of us that we're letting go of has kept us so safe and so protected for so long. And it's really difficult to let go. And so the key in any healing work or evolutionary work or whatever we want to call it, spiritual work, for it to be effective, we have to stay really curious and present. Like, curious and present are like the keys, right? Because you say, okay, that's there, I'm aware of it, but what do I do about it? And the goal is to just continue to approach the door, to knock on the door and just say, hey, like, are you ready to have a conversation today? If not, it's okay. But you still, and it's just like, imagine if you were a parent and your child got really mad at you, and your child runs to its room and it slams the door. That's exactly like what happens when we're traumatized, is that child went in and slammed the door and now it's not answering the door. But as the parent, you don't go to the door and knock on it really hard, right? You go and you go, gentle, and you knock, and as you're knocking, you're saying, hey, like, is it time for us to talk? And just really gentle, right? Really gentle, just sweet, and if it's only 10 breaths, that's fine. If it's only 5 breaths, that's fine. But making the effort, right? And just like you're making reparations in a relationship, it's the same thing that happens. You just make the effort, and the effort alone is the healing. Yeah. And stick to the techniques that feel good for now, because they'll still move the energy, right? And like, know that you have these tools available to you. And as we build our own personal sadhana, our own healing device, we will take certain things and we'll like be like, this is the thing that I need for now. And what you want to do is just really like go into that one, because that's the one that's helping, but really go into it. Yeah. Good. Really nice question. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you. I will. I thank you for saying that, because I did drop it because, like you said, I became afraid of feeling that way. So I will start with 5 and just not very gentle. Thank you so much. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I have to say, what you said, Lizzie, strongly resonated in me. And I didn't really understand what was wrong. And now with your explanation, Grant, I can't say I really completely understand what's going on, but I understand that this difficulty with this trauma, this thing, what is happening, and maybe going more gentle with myself, and yeah, take my time, and also maybe be more aware now that I know then when I'm gonna have this reaction, which I probably will have, where this trauma like reacts. I don't know what to say. Just be I'll try to be more aware of it, of what it is exactly.
Yeah.
So thank you.
You're welcome. And one of the things just to remember to like reiterate, you guys already know this, but breathing increases your sensitivity. So whatever breathing technique you use, you'll become more sensitive to what's happening inside. And the reason it does that is because a breathing technique is designed to make you conscious of your breathing. That's it. Whether it be fast or slow or whatever, I mean, it just makes you conscious of breathing. And as you become conscious of breathing, you become conscious of the shape change that your body makes as you're breathing, which brings all of the energy that has been scattered away home. And now that it's home, all the doors that were closed are being knocked on. And all we need to do is, as we're knocking on the doors, is just to be gentle, to be curious, right? It'll show us our pattern. And if our pattern is to fight or to be strong, it'll show us that we're knocking really hard. Or if our pattern is to run away, it'll show us that we knock and then we run. That's it. It just brings awareness to it. And so the goal is to keep it up, but to be aware of how, and to just like, yeah, it starts to bring awareness. It's so simple to, when we talk about it like that, but that's really what happens. Mm-hmm. Oh, well, bless you guys. Thanks for another really beautiful discussion. I'll send out the recording when we wrap up. And yeah, super stoked. Rick's coming on retreat with us. We have the retreat at the end of March. Just put his deposit down, and so it's cool to have you here. And at the end of March in Costa Rica, and then we'll still be doing breath camp. So I'll have to give you guys a heads up about next week's breath camp, because I'm going to help on a retreat. So I'm going to figure out how that will work timing wise, but I want to keep these sessions rolling. This is a great way to get together and breathe. And there's a couple things I'm working on. I'm going to be making like a short little ebook that explains some of this stuff. So that'll be up for download at some point. I don't know when. And then also we'll be doing like a more in-depth course where we can study this material and we can practice it. That way it's not, it'll just be more organized. So just to give you guys a heads up of what's coming. Yeah, super excited. All right. Much love to you. Namaste. Thank you all. And see you soon. Glad you could join. Ciao.